Are you registered to vote? Headcount is a nonpartisan organization that works with the music and entertainment industry to get fans to vote. To update or check your voter registration status, go to headcount.org, where you'll find all the information you need to be ready for Election Day. Many people don't realize that when you move or change your residence, you are no longer registered to vote. Studies also showed that 60% or more of eligible voters have never even been asked to register. Headcount.org is working to change that. Register to vote at headcount.org. Welcome to Millennials with Mics, discussions about movies, politics, religion, and more. I'm Aaron Mason.
And I'm Christian Stevens.
In today's episode, we'll be talking about the Star Wars movies. We've had some controversial opinions about the Star Wars movies in the past, particularly our ratings of them. And you haven't always been the biggest Star Wars fan in the world.
Still isn't.
Still aren't, but like you used to.
I used to dislike it more than I do now. Back when it was just really 4, 5, and 6. And then a couple of the
1, 2, and 3
ones
came out when we were
right. We grew up
7
with
to
those.
10. 6 to 10, something like that. Like, do you remember, did you go to see those in the theater? Do you remember going to see those?
Oh, yeah. I saw, I think, all of them in theater. There was one time at the United Artists Theater, we were going to go see the third one, and it just barely started at the opening sequence of them flying their spacecrafts in the battle, and then the screen goes black.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all had to leave the auditorium to go back outside and wait for them to fix the issues.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that bullshit. It was like the opening weekend for Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it twice as a kid.
The third one?
No, the first one.
Oh, okay.
Or the Phantom Menace, I guess I should specify.
Mm-hmm.
Since some people still want to say, oh, the first one was A New Hope.
No,
go
episode
fuck yourselves. 1. Episode 1. When we say the first one, we mean episode 1.
Yeah.
Anyways, I went to see that with my dad, just me and my dad, a couple weeks after it came out. And then like a week later, and it had some technical issues too, funnily enough. Like the sound was having issues and the picture was having issues.
Do you remember which theater that was?
It might have been United Artists, actually.
Interesting.
But me and him saw it, and then like a week later, me, my mom and dad, and my dad's friend from work and his wife all went to see it one night again. And that's really like that came out in 99, so I was 5 going on 6.
Right.
If it came out in the summer.
Yeah.
And like that's really the first movie I remember. One of the first movies I remember seeing. I think
Ever?
George of the Jungle is. I think that came out a couple of years earlier. That's the first movie I remember seeing.
I'm not sure if I saw that one in theaters or not.
But so what we're gonna do? We recently binge watched all of the Star Wars movies, including the 2
Spinoffs, sequels,
spinoffs. What? There's a specific word they call them.
stories, Star Wars stories.
They're standalone films.
Standalone films.
We recently binged all of them. We watched them in chronological order by the story. So not chronological by release date, but chronological by how story-wise how they go. So
episodes 1,
The Phantom Menace, then Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Solo, Rogue One, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
And then we'll end our discussions talking about Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And then maybe what we're looking forward to in the
future of Star Wars.
So we'll be talking about, in all of these, except for Mandalorian, in all the movies, we have listed out our favorite things about the movie, our least favorite thing about the movie, and then, like we do on our Facebook or 1302 Entertainment movie reviews, we have our individual star ratings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's dive in. We only have a couple of points per movie.
Right.
don't want to go too in depth because I mean that is 11 movies that we're trying to
Cover
get
in one
an
episode.
hour
Right.
or so. But we'll see how it goes. If we just have a lot to say, we could split it into 2 episodes. You never know. Until we do know.
Yeah, we'll play that one by ear.
So you want to start us off with Phantom Menace? What was your favorite thing about it?
Yes, Phantom Menace. It was difficult to find one of my favorite things because there's really nothing I really liked about the movie. But the foreshadowing, the root of the origin, and the characters and the premise and everything, starting off, branching into what is the huge Star Wars universe as we know, with young Anakin, the Jedi Order, Chancellor Palpatine, and all that. And so I say that's one of the things I like best is getting to like the yoke of Star Wars, and that's where it all kicks off.
Yeah.
So it has to start somewhere, right? So
yeah. My favorite things about this movie, and well, I'll get into that later. My favorite things about this movie is Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn. I love those 2 characters. And then, of course, the Obi-Wan Kenobi and the ending fight scene with him and Darth Maul. Or not even just the ending with him, like that whole end fight scene with the 2 Jedis and Darth Maul. Like the whole scene as a whole is just one of my favorite moments throughout the Star Wars franchise itself, period.
it was an iconic piece for sure.
It is. The music's great. The fight scene is fun. It's exciting.
John Williams, I mean, I'm glad he kept on to do the score for all of them, huh?
Yeah,
Except
I think
for the
he said
standalones.
Yeah, except for the standalones. He did
Right.
all of the Skywalker saga
Yeah,
movies.
I mean,
And he said he was done after that. I mean, he's in his 80s now, so I don't blame him. But
until they do another Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, and Jaws, he'll be
kill
back.
me.
Just kidding. But we'll see.
And you know, this one is difficult for me. It gets a lot of hate, understandably so. I'm not saying
It
it's
is
not justified.
quite understandable.
But honestly, even to this day, and this is how a lot of like our parents' generation feels about 4, 5, and 6.
I already know where this is going.
I enjoy this one most. Like I remember seeing
Of all of them?
Of all of them, I enjoy this one. I'm not saying it's the best made. I'm not saying there's
Yeah,
any
but
reason
you
why.
enjoy it.
I enjoy this one most. Like it's the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters. I remember seeing the other ones when I was younger.
So nostalgia
Before
plays
this
a
came
part.
out, but nostalgia reasons, things like that. Like I loved this movie as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a Jar Jar Binks like George Lucas intended. Cheap bastard.
Yes, he was.
Greedy bastard. I had a Jar Jar Binks toy. I had Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan. I had all the toys, Darth Maul and everything.
I did too. I did have a shit ton of Star Wars toys.
Like I just enjoyed it. Like, and I still to this day I enjoy it most of all. There are better ones. There are other scenes in certain movies that I enjoy more than scenes in this.
I would hope so.
But as a movie overall, I enjoy this movie the most. So, moving on. What is your least favorite thing about this movie?
Oh yes. The underwater fish sequence with the big fish and then the one that looked like a Godzilla type beast.
Yeah.
It was like, how many big fishies for a wasted scene? Like, it was ridiculous.
And this is one of those scenes that it's understandable why the movie gets so much hate because of scenes like that. It's just fucking stupid.
Just awful. And that's, CGI and stuff, it was fine for the time. Mm-hmm. Just the point of it all. Like, one fish was good.
Like yeah. Oh, but then you don't have the phrase, "There's always a bigger fish" by Liam Neeson.
Liam Neeson has had some terrible lines throughout his career. And some good ones. But yeah.
I did love Liam Neeson.
Yes, we can't blame him.
Okay, thank God the Taken movies are over, though. Fuck me.
It should have ended with Taken 1, but that's for another time.
So my least favorite thing about this movie plays off of my favorite thing about the movie, which is the lack of character building with Darth Maul in particular, but Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn. Would you hush?
Which the Star Wars now with Disney is trying to fix with Darth Maul for certainly.
And like I say, this is my least favorite thing about the movie. The first thing that big Star Wars, and we're not big Star Wars fans. Like I like the movies, Christians about them, but like big Star Wars fans will automatically retort, "Oh, well, you have the comic book series and then the TV animated series, Attack of the Clones."
I just don't care about all that.
I don't want to read a comic book series to get backstory. I don't want to
novels
watch
and dumb crap.
Yeah, I don't want to watch a fucking animated series. I want it in the movie. God damn it!
People will see mostly the movies. If you're gonna have it, in the realm, it needs to be on the screen. That's just the point.
And that's just. I know Darth Maul had more scenes with lines that were cut, and it ended up fine in the movie.
He was a bigger part of the animated series for sure.
Yeah, and like he was going to be a bigger part of the actual movie too, but they cut his lines, and it worked out fine. But like he was such an interesting seeming character. It's a shame that those scenes did get cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then same with Qui-Gon Jinn. Like he was such a big
star.
He was a big
character.
A big character in Anakin's finding and everything in his beginnings.
Yeah.
And then he's mentioned at the end of 3, and that's it.
But it wasn't necessary for him to be knocked off, because that's what gets Anakin to his whole...
With Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they were constrained with 4, 5, and 6. That's a problem with making the prequel movies, is that you're constrained by what you're prequeling.
Yeah, that's true.
So I get that. That just, it is what it is. That is my least favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, star rating 1 to 5. My rating on this one would be a 3.
And mine would be a 2.5.
So not too far off.
Yeah,
basically
not too bad.
Equivalent. Attack of the Clones. This is my least favorite of the sequel trilogy.
Right.
Prequel trilogy, I guess.
Prequel trilogy.
Favorite thing about it is the music. Again, John Williams recycling some of his old stuff, but still the music is out of this world. And then the Dooku Yoda fight. I love seeing Yoda
in action.
That
Not just sitting around.
So badass.
Yeah.
What about you?
The whole arena fight scene with
all the different
Obi,
Jedis.
Padme, Anakin facing those beasts, and then when Mace Windu walks up behind Count Dooku, then all the Jedis light their lightsabers around the whole arena, and all the buzzy little flies zoom out of the... I just love that part. That was such a cool, bold, iconic sequence. Really badass, all the Jedis fighting like that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Because that's the most Jedis I think we see on screen at one time. In the whole series.
I know. And that was just overwhelming in a way. I like that. And when Mace Windu lops off Boba Fett's head. That was cool.
Yeah.
Just and I was like, damn, sweet.
That was pretty cool. That whole scene.
Or
and honestly,
Boba Fett's son. Was it Boba? You know what I mean.
Boba Fett is the son. Jango Fett is the father.
Fett. There you go. Jango Fett.
See, that's how we like Star Wars. That's how non-Star Warsy we are. Excuse the cat, by the way. He's being a needy little bit.
And our technicalities of things.
And like the arena fight scene, that is the best part. And that leads to my least favorite part about the movie, which is honestly the entire first half of the damn thing is lead up to that. And I think it's very poorly done.
There was a lot of, especially the first half, a lot of pressure on the sexual tension between Anakin and Padme, which I just found kind of over dramatic and overdone.
Yeah.
I'm just like, let's get to the point.
And like it is necessary to an extent because they do get married at the end of that movie, and like we know they're gonna have kids, so like we have to see some lead up to that.
Right.
But like the political lead up and all of that, the first half of the movie is hard for me to deal with.
That's fair. I would say my least favorite thing, are we on? Yeah, my
Mm-hmm.
least favorite thing about Attack of the Clones would be the librarian. Shut up, Sherlock. That faces that comes up to Obi-Wan and he's asking for help about what was it? He was looking for a certain
trying to find
planet. Camino, yeah.
In the Star Wars archives.
She was just a
Jedi
stuck-up, snooty little bitch, and I hated her. Just, you had one line, and you had to be a cunt about it.
If it's not there, it
Doesn't exist. Oh, I hate that line. I was like, fuck off, you old twat. And then the diner alien, the grubby old 80s-looking fucking
six-armed,
completely just digitalized, out of place, one time only seen
so weird
alien with just dumb lines, and
your pocket
dumb.
book.
Oh God.
And God, that it's bad. There's a lot bad about this movie.
A lot about the ones that George Lucas directed.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And then we flip-flop ratings on this one. Christian gives it a 3. I give it 2.5. So
I liked it still more than Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't. And then, inarguably, the best of the prequels trilogy.
Absolutely, and
Revenge
one
of
of
the
the best Star Wars films.
Yeah.
But Revenge of the Sith.
So, I think everyone's favorite, or one of their most favorite parts about this movie is the fight on Mustafar between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Such a beautiful orchestrated lightsaber
really
sequence.
is.
So, and the music, oh God,
Yeah.
it was awesome.
And then your favorite thing is the dialogue leading up.
Yeah, on top of the Mustafar fight, it's the dialogue between Obi and Anakin. Just, that was so beautifully written and such, your new empire, and just everything. It was just so tense with the music and the lines. I was just like, I get goosebumps. I just love it so much. It's one of my all-time favorite dialogues in film in general.
Yeah.
So.
My least favorite thing about the movie is also about that scene. It's the cuts between the Mustafar fight and the Palpatine Yoda fight.
Going back and forth.
I like seeing Yoda in action, but I think the Palpatine Yoda fight is just fucking stupid.
Unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. It's stupid. I get why they put it in. Yoda's trying to save the day and he can't, but have it be two scenes. Don't cut between the two. You have this really good, really cool Mustafar scene, and then this lame ass old man versus old man bullshit.
Yeah.
That they're just
That's
throwing Senate seats at each other, and it's what the absolute
Yoda's
fuck.
just concentrating on not farting and spinning one of them.
Yeah.
And then, this is taking long enough for Palpatine to notice he can jump and move
Yeah.
out of the way.
So that's
that's true though.
it almost ruins a really good scene, which is the Mustafar scene.
Right. Almost, but not quite. I'd say my least favorite part was definitely the I know they're all bad in the prequel trilogies, but just extremely more so in Revenge of the Sith. I don't know why, but George Lucas, I know there was more droids involved with having General Grievous and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But they start talking, they start having more animated dialogue, and not just the little ant-looking guys, but the big ones too that kick R2-D2 in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just, don't talk, don't go, uh-oh, and oh, and they feel pain, and they're just robots. Just beep beep boop bop bop. I don't, just don't. I mean, C-3PO is one thing.
It's very weird
because he's a translating,
yeah,
droid, but just random droids that are just meant to kill, and they're having talks they're at a water cooler. Oh my word!
it's very odd.
And he did it more so in the third than the other two, and I just did not like that.
So our rating on this one, pretty straightforward. We both agree 3 3/4, 3.75.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So.
that seems solidly fair.
Solo is the next one, set about 10 years or so before Rogue One and Episode 4,
Okay.
give or take. In my opinion, this is inarguably the worst movie in the Star Wars franchise to date.
Yeah.
It's
definitely my least favorite.
terrible. And yet,
There's
I think
some
you still
good.
rated it higher than you did.
That was probably nice because of the cast.
The cast is the one redeeming thing about it.
It is one redeeming thing.
Right. So my favorite thing about this movie is at literally very near the very end is Darth Maul's cameo. Spoiler alert, sorry.
It ain't a spoiler no more.
But Darth Maul's cameo in it as a hologram.
First time I
that's
got
the
to
best
see
thing.
him since Phantom Menace in the films.
Yeah, in the films, yes. Confirming that
He's actually
what
is.
happens in the Clone War series. We already knew this, but it ties it
Right.
in finally. The Clone War animated series with the movies. The films.
That's really cool.
So, what about you?
I did love, and I thought it was really neat, when Chewbacca and Han Solo finally meet up at that muddy little prison, whatever, jail cell.
Yeah.
And the first and only time Solo's actually speaking his language. They're from Kashyyyk. Kashyyyk, so it's like Kashyikian or whatever.
Something like that.
And I just thought that was neat. That not only does he understand him, but he can also talk to him. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was really neat because we never saw that with Harrison Ford.
No, that is very cool.
I like that.
Moving on to least favorite things. My least favorite thing about this would have to be all of the character twists. Like, watching it, you're
It
just
was
like...
kind of exhausting.
You're just like, God damn, did M. Night Shyamalan write
Do
this or
this.
something? Because this is just constantly, oh, what a twist. Oh, what a twist. Oh, what a
For
twist.
a Star Wars film in general, too, it had a lot of like, huh?
Yeah.
And for Ron Howard, Ron Howard don't usually do
Yeah.
twisty
Did he
things.
write it?
He directed it. I don't know if he
I wonder
helped
who
write it or
wrote
not.
that piece of shit. It's just terrible. The movie itself is not good.
Yeah.
What was your least favorite thing?
I did not care for how you got someone like Paul Bettany to play a very interesting villain.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's got this weird weapon and his scar, and he plays a good villainous role to be shortly lived and then die out at the very end of the film, which he had very few scenes. And I was just like, dude, I don't know. He deserved more screen time. He deserved a little bit more dialogue, a little bit more interestingness with who he is and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that's one of the most consistent things about the Star Wars movies is taking interesting villains and doing not a goddamn thing with them.
General Grievous even at
Darth Maul, General Grievous, Paul Bettany's character,
Yeah.
Grand Moff Tarkin. Now you can say they fixed that with Grand Moff Tarkin a little bit by putting him in Rogue One.
Oh, that's kind of different because all the generals and majors in the Death Star, they are all shortly lived characters.
They're all short-lived, but he was such a...
He had that.
He was originally going to be the main villain behind
Before he died.
Star Wars, or that's what they made him up to be in the trailers until they killed him off, and then Darth Vader, obviously. Which, I mean, they always knew they were going to make Darth Vader the original villain, but in all of the backstories, he's someone who played such a role in Episode 4, but never got much of a who, what, when, where for being so important in one movie. It's the same thing with the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just you do a lot in some ways with this character, but then you just cut it off.
The biggest problem with these Star Wars movies is even if they're not the bad guy, they pile on so many characters at a time.
Yeah.
And we hardly have any time to remember who these people are, what their names are, and why you're even in this movie.
Yeah.
But
So we do have differing ratings on this. You gave it a bigger rating for the cast. I just was brutally honest, 2.5.
yeah, that's fair.
And you were 3.25.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rogue One. Arguably, we don't argue about it, but a lot of other people would.
It's a great movie.
The best movie in the Star Wars franchise.
Probably.
just the way it was made, the writing, the characters,
It's
everything.
definitely up there.
Damn near perfect.
Yeah.
Favorite thing about it, the ending on the beach.
Very cool set and scene.
Yeah, it is. It's, they get to the beach. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. They get to the beach. Jen and the captain dude, get to the beach wounded and everything, watching the fiery abyss coming towards them. It's just beautiful. It really is. And then the instant lead in to episode 4 is, I've never really seen that in a movie, to where
Completely
one
hooked
movie
right in.
ends like literally seconds before the next movie begins. Like that is so cool how they did that.
I like that too. It was a good drawing.
And getting to see Vader in action more than how he's portrayed in
On
4, 5, and
Mustafar
6.
with the castle.
On Mustafar in the castle, that's cool. See him in the tank, so vulnerable and everything. But even the ending scene.
Oh yeah.
With him, and that's I'm kind of stealing your thunder for your favorite part. But
no, that's definitely my favorite sequence for sure. Is the
because like
all of them trying to escape, and
yeah,
you just see his red lightsaber, and that motherfucker's a pimp. He's just, it's nothing to him.
and like that's
Flying
something
them
we
everywhere.
don't see in 4, 5, and 6.
Being that cool.
Like we see sword fights, but he's a
And
little pussy in them.
Lily dancing and jumping
Yeah.
and skipping and
And like there's
force choking all the
fan
time.
theories out there of like, oh well, he wasn't really giving it his all with Obi-Wan because that was his mentor, and he's still got mixed feelings. And then when he's fighting Anakin, that's his son, and he's got mixed feelings.
I just think the stunts
Fuck
work
that.
and the
It's in
choreograph
old movies. The stunts were bad. The fighting was bad.
and the actors were lazy and
The
old.
actors were so it
And
was
he
the
didn't put
best
a
it
lot
could
of-
be.
Yeah, it was the best they could do.
And this actually shows Vader as the fearful, ruler,
Yeah.
tyrant that he's made out to be.
Yeah. Like, actually gives him some credit of being like, "Ooh, don't fuck with this guy."
Yeah.
That's definitely true.
And then what would be your least favorite thing about this movie?
Oh yeah. Forrest Whitaker. Yeah.
Just his presence as a whole.
Yeah, I thought he stuck out like a sore thumb. I don't know why he was. I mean, I'm not gonna get into the whole lore of it and why he was in it, but seriously, why was he in it? And his accent and his character choice of how he talked, and he was just
so
stupid.
To give some context behind this, his character was a character in the Clone Wars animated series. That was actually, I think, aside, that was Rogue One came out before Solo, so his presence was actually the first initial time when the Clone Wars animated series was made canon.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why he was there. I didn't care for the character either. Didn't absolutely hate it like you did, but it was odd. That whole sequence on Jeddah, I think that's the planet. Where they're at the Jedi Temple, or the remnants of that in the city with Forrest Whitaker and all that. That is the worst part of the movie.
Yeah, it was pretty boring.
I don't know. Things happened in that sequence when they found the pilot and things like that. They found information, but like they could have done that other and better ways.
Yeah,
but that overall, that would be my least favorite, and that's not a big deal to me.
True.
Overall, final rating for that 4.25 for me.
And 4 stars for me.
Not too bad. Then, like we said, that gives instant lead in to A New Hope. Favorite thing about A New Hope, we had a hard time with this because this is where we by and large diverge from the Star Wars fandom, in that we're very much of the opinion that A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi are basically the 3 worst movies in this franchise.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're the originals and they're classics, but they're terrible.
Yeah.
They're absolutely terrible. I'm sorry. There are things about them I like.
Sure.
But they're bad.
All
They're
the
just
old
bad.
things like that were bad. No one wants to admit it, But no, like after the original cut came out, after like the anniversaries, and then they started like adding on more digital enhancement and clearer picture, and then they added in some characters like Jabba the Hutt. I thought that was helpful. Little Jawas and more little sequences on Tatooine, I thought really helped touch up the film a little bit to kind of pull it in with the other trilogy. And so I liked that. I think it needed that add-on character and digital help and assistance.
Yeah.
I'm not being such a
They shouldn't have. The one thing I would critique is they shouldn't have made so many
tweaks
versions of it. Because like 4, 5, and 6, like they've had between the mid 90s and mid 2000s, or maybe even 2010s, they had like 3, 4
Something
versions of it, or
like
restorations of it. And like, yeah, like the Jabba the Hutt scene, that was interesting because a lot of younger fans might not know that wasn't in the original theatrical version. Like it wasn't in it till like 2001, I'm gonna say early 2000s. Like that is when that scene was added. It was filmed, obviously, or else they couldn't have done it, but it was filmed with a human as Jabba before Jabba became what he was in Empire Strikes Back or whatever the movie was. But it was added and digitally done because they could finally make Jabba what we later see him being, not some human.
exactly.
But and that was an interesting scene. But that's my one tweak about that. What was your least favorite thing? Oh, my favorite thing before we get into that was just to pull something out of my butt to have something to put in this category. C-3PO and R2-D2. The boys. So yeah.
For comic relief and
Comic relief, and R2-D2 is kind of cute.
all the little droids are.
Yeah.
Least favorite thing. Oh yeah, God. Darth Vader and a TIE fighter.
Oh God.
Like, you're
Well,
not
they had
Anakin anymore. You're
He
not.
had to survive the Death Star blowing up somehow.
Just the most awkward thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
A big customized Sith in a TIE fighter. I just thought that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because you're a Sith now. Get the fuck out of that. I don't care.
And you know the only reason they put him in that was so that he would be alive when the Death Star blew up.
I don't care still.
My least favorite thing, again, kind of like episode 2, my least favorite thing about this is the lead up. Half the movie being on Tatooine, roughly half. That's just, I get you need the lead up and all that, but like
An hour of the movie, huh?
Yeah, like that much of the movie being on one planet, working on getting off, is just ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all. Rating from me, 2.25.
And I gave it 2 stars.
I could easily be persuaded to change mine to that. Empire Strikes Back, a little bit better than A New Hope.
They do get a little bit better. Yeah.
My favorite part about that movie was all the parts on Dagobah training with Yoda.
Oh, God.
I like that.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, another good thing about this movie, like they did, I guess with all of them, but Bespin added visual effects towards the end of the film. I thought they did a really good job with that. It was a lot more, sleeker and newer looking, and it was well done.
Because the original theatrical cut on Bespin, particularly when they're inside, it was very dark.
Okay.
Like in this version, or in the versions we have now, when they're walking through the halls,
Oh, yeah,
they have windows and everything.
Right.
In the original version, they didn't.
Right. I don't
There was
remember the
nothing.
original as much.
And so
God.
it was very different visually, which helped.
It definitely did.
Especially since all of the Bespin sequences were my least favorite parts of that movie.
That's true.
I didn't care for it. I thought they were bad. Like the whole "You're my father" thing, like that's of course a classic moment. Love that.
But Mark
like,
Hamill's no. Oh.
Funny.
Oh my.
That was pretty bad.
Oh my.
It's interesting. I think I read somewhere that when they filmed the movie, Darth Vader told Anakin, of course it wasn't filmed with James Earl Jones voicing it, that was dubbed, but it was filmed with Darth Vader telling Anakin that Obi-Wan killed his father, not that he was his father.
Okay.
And then, that's not true. That's not possible.
That's it. That's not true.
And that's
God.
what the original line was. Obi-Wan killed your father.
How interesting. Interesting factoid.
Yeah. So, yeah. Rating on this one's a little bit better. 2.5.
Oh, yeah. I gave it 2 3/4.
Not bad.
So.
Return of the Jedi. Favorite thing about this movie is Ewoks. They're cute.
One of, I think, Warwick Davis's first character was playing the main little Ewok. And he was just like, how old was he?
He was a teenager. Like, he was younger than the teenagers. He was maybe 11, 12?
Something like that. He was a kid. And, the Ewoks were cute. You want to take one home, you know? Yeah, I did enjoy... I guess that's the continuity with my original trilogy is what they've added. Vader, Luke, and Palpatine's ghost at the... Wait.
What?
Palpatine. No.
Vader, Obi-Wan, and Yoda's ghost? Or are you talking about the end fight scene with Vader, Luke, and Palpatine?
No, definitely not. I think I meant the ghost sequence.
Okay. You're going to go with the ghost sequence.
Okay, sorry. It's been a
minute since we did this.
There's been a little hoopla with what I had. The ending with the Force ghosts of it was Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Yoda, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I liked that. That was definitely my favorite part. It was really cool.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Especially having Hayden Christensen in it.
And that's the most controversial thing. One of the most controversial things about the re-edits was that people didn't like putting Hayden Christensen in there. They liked having the old Anakin.
I don't like these Star Wars fans with their opinions.
I liked it. I thought it was kind of cool they're adding that.
No, I like that. I don't like their opinions.
No, I know. And I'm saying I like adding Hayden Christensen. I thought that was interesting.
Because it kind of ropes in the first prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why it's there. Least favorite thing about that, mine would be Luke fighting the monster in the bowels of Jabba's palace. That is just fucking stupid as shit.
That monster was pretty atrocious.
Like, you get to see the green alien chick's nipples before he eats her.
That's cool.
But the whole fight with him is just stupid.
Yeah.
The guy coming down and that was stupid.
Oh.
The whole that
greasy,
whole thing was stupid.
big, slobby, dumb idiots all the time. Why do movies have so much of that?
It was dumb. What about you?
Oh, yeah. And this is, I guess, debatable now that there's been new information. But
we'll see.
Assumably, Boba Fett's death for such a dumb, pointless character already died like a little bitch. And so, like, what, you fall into the alien's mouth? Like, come on, aren't you supposed to be like a renowned bounty hunter?
I did some reading on this, and apparently when George Lucas shot Boba Fett in that way and ended him prematurely, apparently Boba Fett got really popular from comic books. And when George Lucas wrote and filmed that, and Boba Fett in the movie, he was unaware of Boba Fett's popularity with the people with fans and people who'd read the comic books.
Okay.
Which is why it was so, like a lot of other villains in the series, why it was so cut off.
Yeah.
You know?
Jesus.
But we might get a Boba Fett series. I hope not. He
No.
might make an appearance in Mandalorian.
Exactly.
I hope not.
Don't be surprised.
Ugh.
Don't be surprised. Because they're talking about bringing the actor who played, the clone.
I did hear that. Yeah.
So he will most likely be probably Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So
it's whatever.
we'll see what happens.
And then we agree on this rating as well. 3.0.
Yeah, 3 for sure.
So We're a little over halfway done. We just have 7, 8, and 9 to talk about, and then the future Star Wars. We're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, moving on. Talking about The Force Awakens now. The first of the sequel trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Decent cast in it.
Yeah.
John Boyega and
A lot of newcomers.
Daisy Ridley were
Right.
relative newcomers.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac, pretty well known.
Yeah.
Not widely well known.
But he's been in some things.
He'd been in some things. I think most people are familiar with him
Sure.
to some degree before this came out. I think my favorite thing about this movie would have to be the visual effects by far. The writing was decent.
Yeah, not bad.
Especially since George Lucas didn't have anything to do with it.
Thank goodness.
The music was good, obviously, but I think the visual effects were probably my favorite thing.
Yeah, that's definitely. I forgot I was about to add this, but I forgot that was actually my favorite thing was the weapons and the outfits and everything like that in this movie were a lot cooler.
Yeah.
Having like that lightsaber absorbent type weapon that the stormtroopers fight with.
Oh, yeah.
Against John Boyega when he's fighting him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's really, really cool.
Yeah.
The costumes are cool. I think the overall weapons and technology and stuff that it's somewhat advanced, but they're also keeping it old school too with 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like the balance
Yeah.
scale they do with 7, 8, 9. And so that's probably one of my favorite things about this movie.
My least favorite thing about this would have to be everything that happens at Maz's castle, except for Rey touching the lightsaber and getting to hear the voices. Everything else at Maz's castle, I just fucking hate. I just don't like it. It's whatever.
That's what's up with the Star Wars movies. They always have a sequence of something that's just a little bit like out of place and like, why is this even?
Yeah.
You know, there's always a scene we just don't like. Yeah. Domhnall Gleeson was an
Very odd choice.
very odd choice for a General Hux. And yeah, his character decision to do such outraged, yelling, quick-tempered, just like he was just over dramatic and a bit too much of a character for being a non-important character. Just yelling all the time. And Domhnall Gleeson's not a terrible actor. I think he's done some solid stuff.
He's been in good stuff.
He has. But there are times where I just feel like, think about, coach yourself on what you want to do before you take on a character. Because sometimes he does things like that, and I'm like, why did you think that was a good idea? So yeah, that was exhausting for me.
And then we're basically same star rating on here. I'm 3 3/4.
And I gave it a 4.
The Last Jedi. There are several things that I don't like about this movie, just fundamentally. The biggest thing, and like this, I'll get into the actual thing I don't like about this movie later, but like what I don't agree with how this movie was made was going from J.J. Abrams directing and writing the screenplay of The Force Awakens to Rian Johnson directing and writing this one, and then going back to J.J. Abrams directing and writing the third one.
What a mess.
Rian Johnson just being thrown in there, any random director. I'm not trying to pick on Rian Johnson. Any random director directing and writing a movie in between 2 other movies, whether the intent was going to be to have J.J. Abrams write the third one or not, just really fucked it up. There's a lot of things that Rian Johnson did, killing Snoke, chief among them, but several of the decisions he made in that movie, I think, did not fit well with how The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker ended up going.
Right. I don't understand why you should have a writer involved with all three of them who have more of a say of how these things are written, because it's a story. It's one long story.
Yeah.
Instead of giving directors, whoever the director, you can have 3 different directors. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the writing needs to have that continuity.
Or at least someone on the writing team. Like, don't just have it one writer. Have, like, someone on the writing team who is consistent to give it a consistent narrative.
It's like when Marvel had Kevin Feige, who produced them all. He kept consistency going in the MCU. Yeah. That's what they need with Star Wars. Yeah. Someone to just say, wait, da-da-da-da-da.
And, like,
that's where we're kind of going.
That is one thing with the Marvel movies, is, like, their continuity in those is pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's, like, it's better than X-Men. It's really better than any franchise.
And that's another issue with 20th Century Fox, is not having someone involved to keep them on check of everything. Like, Peter Dinklage played the same character as a 50-year-old black man from X-Men 3. And they're supposed to be the same people. And come on. Anyways.
Yeah.
But that's the problem with having a universe and a franchise.
With so many different writers.
And I mean, that's in Hollywood too. You need to be smart about what kind of liberties you're given to these filmmakers.
I never thought about the fact. I never put those two together, that both of those are 20th Century Fox, though. Maybe now it'll be better since Disney bought them, but I never put those two together, that those are by the same company.
Star Wars and what else?
Star Wars and X-Men.
Star Wars is? Yeah?
Star Wars 20th Century Fox.
Okay.
And X-Men was too. That. I never put those two together. Maybe that's a...
I mean, I always remember Lucasfilm, but I didn't think about that too. Yeah, that's true.
But
not Disney.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing about The Last Jedi, after shitting on it a little bit, the Kylo Ren, the Rey, Kylo Ren, and Snoke fight scene, like it. However, I wish they would have developed Snoke as a character more. His death and the subsequent fight scene, the lead up to his death, and then the fight scene was absolutely brilliant.
It was beautifully done.
It was cool. It was beautifully done. It was very well written. That was by far the best thing about the movie.
Like real fight sequences that Star Wars needs. Real cool lightsaber.
The music in that scene too was just beautiful.
John Williams never disappoints.
Yeah,
he knows the appropriate music for the appropriate sequence. And my all-time favorite thing was Yoda's cameo.
Oh, that was so cool.
The good balance between kind of like looking puppety from 4, 5, and 6, and also with a little bit of digitalized, CGI-ness with 1, 2, and 3. And so they knew how to scale that in, and just getting to weave in Yoda somehow into the new trilogy was just dope. And it was cool, him and Luke Skywalker, and giving him some, still being wise and teaching him things about the Jedi text, and I like that. That was really awesome.
Least favorite thing, I actually have 2 least favorite things about this movie. I don't know which one. One is more practically, one is a larger critique of the writing. The giant alien animal tit milking thing. Why? I get to be funny and everything, but just
I guess showing how Luke was surviving.
Terrible.
Spearing fish and drinking alien tit milk.
Terrible. Another thing that really, this is my least favorite thing about just the core of how the movie was written. And Rian Johnson is a good writer. I think he proved that with Knives Out.
Yeah. True.
But like something he did a terrible injustice to is like a big core of the movie with Poe's revolt against Laura Dern's character just was horrible. If he hadn't have done X and hadn't have made Rose and blah 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 go to X and everything, the movie would have turned out exactly the same.
Just trying to fill in something for Poe to do,
and that's
he kind of had no point.
Stupid.
Yeah, I know.
Fill it with something else. Fill it with something. Don't make it like, don't pull a Big Bang Theory, like they say about Indiana Jones. Don't make it to where over half the movie's plot line, if you took it out, the movie would end exactly the same way as it did.
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
Yeah. I hate that too. I noticed that about a lot of things.
That I hate that about the movie, and I very much critique Rian Johnson for doing that. Like, that's something that I feel like would be easy to not realize as a writer. And I think some writers do that intentionally to show, like, oh, life does happen like that sometimes. But, like, movies are... You have the opportunity, especially in fantasy movies like this, you have the opportunity to be better than life.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Writing a movie to where over half the plot line, removing that, it would end the same way, is just lazy writing, in my opinion.
And movies in general, depending on the movie, but like you said, fantasy and adventure films are an escape from reality.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always want to be reminded of what actually is like, oh, this would actually happen. We don't care about that. We're escaping to something magical on the screen. It doesn't have to be, relative all the time. And, my biggest thing, and I probably hate this the most of all the Star Wars movies, is when Kylo Ren blows up the ship that Leia was on, and then Leia just, supposedly dies with the rest of them. But no, she's force sensitive, and
her Superman moment.
Yeah, then she twiddles her fingers and unconsciously finds her way back to the ship, and then touches the pad, and they get her.
Unconsciously with her eyes open.
Yes. And then...
whilst freezing to death.
And then, here's the thing. Carrie Fisher passed away, right? Was it before or after?
It was before that movie came out.
Right. And you couldn't have
She had shot all of her scenes already.
She was not really useful.
Mm-mm.
The rest of the entire series.
Yeah.
They killed her off.
Even in that movie, she wasn't really useful.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, she was already alive.
Why not just let her die?
Yeah. Because it was supposed to be Luke's moment to die.
Blah.
They were going to do it one person per movie.
I know.
And they ended up doing it.
Well, with Carrie Fisher passing away and how pointless she ended up being, I think overall Leia should have passed away just that way in this. And then you knocked off Luke Skywalker in number...
Of course, when
9?
Of course, when they wrote and filmed the movie, they were finished filming by the time she died.
Yeah.
So, like, it further goes back, in my opinion, to Rian Johnson's bad writing.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, if you made her such a pointless character in that, just go ahead and kill her off then, regardless of Carrie Fisher actually dying.
Right.
She was so pointless in that, she almost died. Just have her go ahead and die and kill Luke in the 9th one.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and like,
exactly.
It's regardless of whether Carrie Fisher had died or not. Again, they didn't know, but like that is how that would have logically.
But the way they've written the character, regardless, it's like
yes,
she served no purpose, and I feel like that would have been a more noble death than what she had in barely being in the 9th one.
Yeah, and it's
oh god.
Well, we'll get into that one in a minute. Rating for this one 3 3/4.
I gave it 4.
So, right on. Rise of Skywalker. So, talk about Carrie Fisher, and a big controversial part about this movie was the lack of, whether we agree or not, was Rose's lack of presence. So, to clear some of that up, we all know Carrie Fisher died before The Last Jedi was released.
Yeah.
She died well before The Rise of Skywalker was filmed.
Yeah.
So they shot this movie with like a stand-in or whatnot.
Okay.
With the intention of taking footage that Carrie Fisher had done in The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And what they actually ended up doing, and what they planned on doing, was removing all of the background from it, photoshopping some different uniforms on her and hairstyles and things like that, and having her still be in the movie, which they did. That ties into Rose, because the way the movie was written, and they had no way of knowing this beforehand, because they had to add the effects.
Mm-hmm.
The way the movie was written, Rose stayed back, and they filmed these scenes. Rose stayed back and was going to be Leia's right hand.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The issue was they filmed a lot of Rose's scenes to where Rose and Leia were in the same frame.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of Rose's scenes were filmed in the same frame with Leia.
Okay.
The reason that a lot of Rose's scenes were cut out was because when they went on to superimpose Leia into the scenes to replace the double, having Leia on the screen with someone who's actually filmed looked too unrealistic.
Yeah.
So they had to cut the scenes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was a wildly expensive movie already.
Yeah.
Very, very expensive. And you'll notice that a lot of Leia's scenes, if you go back and watch the movie, a lot of Leia's scenes are of her with no one else on screen. At least when she's facing.
That's true.
When you're showing her face.
That's true.
They'll show her with other people where you can see her back or whatnot. But when you can see her face, when you can actually see that it's Carrie Fisher, most of the time she is on the screen by herself. And that is the reason why.
That makes sense.
So that's, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have gone back to maybe shoot some more scenes with Rose or whatever you want to do, but like that is the reason why Rose was not in it.
As much as she should.
As much as some people would have liked.
Yeah.
So, with that out of the way, what was your favorite thing about the movie?
Oh yes, definitely Exegol and Palpatine all together.
Yeah.
That planet, the crudeness,
cool.
the darkness, the shocks, and like the little Sith followers, and you just see like their background noises and like whatever noises they were making, and like an audience, and it was just cool. And then Palpatine on his little mobile thing and barely living like a zombified Palpatine, still kicking ass.
Yeah.
I was just like, God, beautifully done, cool, well designed, well drawn out, cool throne, just dark and loved it. And I loved Palpatine's overall look with the red, crushed red interior robe and the design. God, it was badass.
Yeah,
Cool.
that whole, and like that's the last quarter of the movie is my favorite. Everything that goes on, all the rebels showing up to, or all the people showing up to help the rebels or the resistance as they turn to fight and everything. That was cool and moving. The Exegol Palpatine, that was all pretty badass. It was really good. But what was your least favorite thing? Oh, another favorite thing before we move on. Sorry. The humor in this movie
Was better.
I loved.
Yeah.
You know, the dialogue in the beginning with Poe and General Hux, like Poe just psyching him out, like, yes, I'll hold. I'm looking for like that.
Was that in third?
Just hilarious. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was just hilarious. Wait, was it?
Yeah, I thought it was Last Jedi.
Oh shit, you're right. So that's one of my favorite things about that. One thing Ryan Johnson did good.
Was the comic relief?
Was the comic relief of that? Okay, never mind. Move on.
But Rise of Skywalker did have.
Yeah, the little
Pretty good.
dude, the hey.
Oh,
He was cute.
Whatever his name was.
I loved him.
Boba Freak or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Frick.
Something freaky.
Something like that.
Yeah. He was a little weird thing.
A little weird, but he was kind of cool.
So where are we at? Least favorite thing?
Least favorite thing.
Okay. Oh yeah. The abundance of the newly introduced characters. Not including
who you know
little...
are just basically going to be one-offs.
Yes. And I don't have to go into details of who I'm talking about. Just
Sure.
overall, I think this trilogy in general had too many new characters. And they end up being pretty useless, and like we could have just not had them all together.
Yeah.
And the movie would have been fine. And so I don't, especially for the last one, I don't understand why J.J. Abrams thought it was necessary to throw in such pointless people, unless there's future films coming up where he's going to use these characters, which I strongly doubt.
But there could be.
But there could be.
You never know.
Who knows what? But I hate that.
My least favorite thing about this was he was General Hux. He was a medium importance character in the other two and in this one.
Yeah,
and then I feel like the character was done an injustice with how quickly he was killed. The older general, shot him. Tell Snoke we have our traitor.
Okay. Yeah.
Done. That's it. Like, from the point to where his last line, Hux's last line, to the last time we hear about Hux was about a total of 15 seconds. I feel like that is a major injustice to a character who was of some significance to this trilogy. That was my biggest critique about this one.
That's fair.
And then my rating for this, 4 even.
And I gave it 4.5.
So not too bad. So yeah, that's the Star Wars films. We did a little chart to see how we rated them versus Rotten Tomatoes. We largely agree with Rotten Tomatoes. I disagree with Rotten Tomatoes. We both do, but I strongly disagree with Rotten Tomatoes' score on Solo. And then both of us disagree with their scores on 4 through 6. And yeah, the rest of them are pretty accurate, I would say. And then of course there's Mandalorian, Disney Plus original series.
Oh yeah,
starring Pedro Pascal
as the Mandalorian.
For anyone who doesn't know, if you haven't seen it, it looks like Boba Fett. The Mandalorian looks like Boba Fett or Jango Fett, both. Mandalorians were, at least by the time the series is set, are hired assassins. Would you say guns for hire, kind of?
They're like a group of. They're like their own little like bounty hunter cult.
Bounty hunters.
They are bounty hunters.
That's what I was looking for.
Hired guns, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And so like that's just what they look like. They're not supposed to remove their helmets.
Yeah, that's a rule.
Mando, as they call him, I don't think we ever learned his name in the first season.
I don't remember if we do or not. Yeah.
It's his helmet just happens to look like Boba Fett's.
Similar.
It's a really good. It's set like 5-10 years or so, not very long after episode 6. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Set very shortly after the fall of the Empire, before the First Order. Mm-hmm. You know, we still see some stormtroopers and all that. Like they're rogue and everything.
Right,
they're not like in the official capacity, but we do see stormtroopers.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very, very well done.
Entertaining for sure.
Very entertaining. Several different directors throughout.
Have been
writers
directing this and writing this, and more to come for season 2.
Yeah. I would say Taika Waititi, he directed and wrote 2 or 3 episodes, I think.
He's a character for a few, and he directed, I think, 1.
Oh, one? Well, the one he directed especially, the one he wrote too, were just brilliant.
Directed the finale of last season. And it was, you can tell by just the humor of it.
Yeah.
Like,
and he did a very good job with that.
He did.
Like,
it was fun.
Out of everything that stands out, he is one of the big things that stands out to me.
And his little heroic droid character was cool. A lot of cool characters in this series.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dallas Bryce Howard was the first female director to helm one of the Star Wars projects. That was cool. She might return. Taika might return. There's talks of Robert Rodriguez is set to direct an episode or 2 next season.
That's cool.
And we're gonna get a lot of new cool actors coming in, like Timothy Olyphant and other people. So it'll be interesting.
It's
like a gunslinger western.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, have to mention how adorable Baby Yoda is.
Oh right, of course.
I fucking love him.
That's really he's like, I'm bringing in the audience. Yeah. I'm bringing in the show.
And like if you can afford to get Disney Plus, you know, just stream it when Mandalorian comes back long enough to do it and then cancel it. It's worth it to see that. It really is. 'Cause if you're a Star Wars fan, you definitely need to.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't tied in directly with the storyline from the saga, but that's not to say it won't. But even then, like, you know, it's good on its own. It's very good. And of
it's
course,
definitely had a lot of the set pieces and characters and Easter eggs from the original, from the Skywalker saga, that are weaved into this show. So you know, like, you know, not that they've made it technically part of the universe, but you know it is in a way.
No, you definitely know.
Yeah.
It is.
So.
And then the future, we're supposed to be getting a Obi-Wan Kenobi series here in the next year or two, hopefully.
Yeah, I heard 2021 or 22 they're talking about.
I have a feeling it's going to be 22 with all
Probably.
the COVID stuff. But we're supposed to be getting that in the future. Looking very, very forward to that. Going to be set in between
Ewan McGregor coming back.
3 and 4.
That's what's best.
Ewan McGregor. Get to see young Luke and
perhaps Darth Maul.
Tatooine. Oh, Darth Maul. And I don't see how that's not going to happen.
I think it is going to happen.
Because we already know that Obi-Wan Kenobi killed Darth Maul. Spoiler alert, sorry. Obi-Wan Kenobi killed Darth Maul on Tatooine in the Clone Wars.
Oh. Okay.
So they're basically just going to be recreating
live action.
That'll
be sweet.
And it'll be more in depth, I think.
I think so.
I don't see, especially with them reintroducing Darth Maul in Solo, I don't see how they're not going to add that, even if it's not in the first season, in one of the seasons down the line.
Yeah.
And that's going to be so badass.
I think
it really is.
Something that all Star Wars fans should be looking forward to.
Yeah. And then, there's other things coming up in the franchise. Like, isn't it Rian Johnson doing a trilogy?
And I heard it's underway.
Let's see.
But yeah, he's got a trilogy set coming out, and I heard there was actually probably a leaked script or something about it.
Oh, really?
Don't know how true or that is. I just heard a little headline about it the other day.
I didn't realize that.
Underway information on it has apparently been leaked, if it's valid or not. So Rian Johnson's got that coming up for film, and then Taika Waititi's also helming a Star Wars film.
Oh, I forgot
to
about
what
that.
capacity that is, or what it is, and where it sets. Who knows? But who cares?
And
because it's Taika Waititi. We'll watch it.
It's all of these are going to be not directly related to, or they're not supposed to be. They're all going to be anthology films, at least what they've said to date.
Mm-hmm.
Anthology films, except for if Rian Johnson does a trilogy like they originally said, but not part of the Skywalker saga. Like, that is done, supposedly.
Right.
There could be future movies in the future with characters from it, but the movies that are set to come out right now, although we don't know what they are, they have said won't be a continuation of the saga. There'll be new stories, probably new characters, but maybe some other characters on their own quests.
Yeah.
So some people might not like that. Others like us will.
You can take it or you can leave it.
Yeah. It is what it is, honestly.
But I'm going to say, as far as Disney's helmed Star Wars, they have not really, for the most part, fudged up anything.
No.
If anything, they've helped.
Overall, I think they really helped it.
Yes.
Especially with the almost disasters that Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith.
George Lucas made the right move, selling his soul.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah.
He really did. It's people like Peter Jackson, he sold his soul in The Hobbits.
But, I mean, he still got paid and had his directing on it.
Yes.
But he sold his love.
And,
he had no love.
Yeah.
With The Hobbits.
Yeah.
And,
unlike
George Lucas just gave the product.
He sold his...
And Indiana Jones
out to Greed
sold out too.
He sold out to Greed in
Phantom
Menace, Attack of the Clones,
toy rights,
Revenge of the Sith, and then he just sold his soul for billions of dollars to give up all of
now
his
he just sits at Skywalker
just to
Ranch
complain about it
and complains about it afterwards. They don't come to me for any no shit.
No shit, you sold it.
We didn't,
asshole.
Ask you to sell it to get your advice more. Oh, that's so funny.
But well, we should have 2 episodes after this in the season, ish.
Yeah. So for this season, we're looking at a headline of 10 episodes for this season. So keep in tune. We'll have at least a couple more on the way.
At least, yeah.
So
we'll see you next time.
Bye.